Picture It Los Angeles 2024.
Oh, welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls. Actually, this feels wrong. This feels wrong today. I don't know why, Kerri. Actually, no, I do know why. Because it's our 10-year anniversary!
Happy anniversary!
So because of that, let's go back to September 2014 when we had an intro that sounded like this.
Miami, Miami, you got style.
Picture It, Los Angeles, 2014.
Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you will ever need to listen to. I'm H. Allen Scott.
And I'm Kerri Doherty, and this is a podcast where we have a friend over to watch and talk about an episode of The Golden Girls.
Now, we have 7 seasons and 180 episodes
roughly
to get through.
Yeah.
So fasten your seatbelts, slut puppies.
We need to bring back slut puppies.
We totally practiced that. Okay, and then we're going to go. Okay, ready? Point. Fasten your seatbelts, slut puppies.
We sound so young. Oh, my God.
We sound so young. A decade of Out on the Lanai.
Wow.
Look, I'm wearing my Out on the
If you're
Lanai
watching,
t-shirt.
you can see the Out on the Lanai t-shirt from back in the day. Yes,
Which I made it just for Golden Con last year because I was like, nobody is going to recognize me unless I wear this. And like 2 people were like, "Are you the? Do you do that thing? That podcast?"
Is that you?
I was like, "Yeah, that's us."
You?
Yes, designed by great friend Joe Bennett, who's a wonderful animator and has a show on Max, and he's very, very talented. And he designed it for us.
It's amazing. It's amazing. We're at 10 years. I can't even believe it. I can't believe how poorly our audio sounded in 2014. But then again, it was 2014.
It was 2014. It was a decade ago.
I mean, things. We have
it was the
so
olden
much,
days of podcasts.
We have so much in store for you today. Oh my God. I mean, from special guests to huge announcements to all kinds of crazy things. But before we get to any of that, Kerri.
Yes. We have a little bit of housekeeping, but as you said, this is a very big anniversary extravaganza episode. Star-studded episode. A little bit of housekeeping. I just want to remind everybody this Saturday, September 28th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time is our next Golden Girls Live watch-along party on Zoom. We're watching Dateline Miami. Now, these watch-alongs are usually only free for members in the $8 a month tier, but because it's our 10-year anniversary, this month we're opening it also to the $5 a month subscribers as well. So if that's you will be able to watch this as well. I'll make sure you have a link before we go live. We will make sure we send out more posts on Patreon. And if you are not a member of the $5 or $8, you can also buy a ticket. Mm-hmm. Anybody can buy a ticket for $4.50. It was literally the cheapest that Patreon would let us make it. All you have to do is go to Patreon to become a free member of the Golden Girls, the GGVIP Club at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. And again, we will be posting. You'll get a post like 30 minutes before we go live, letting you know so you can buy that ticket. Also in the GGVIP Club today for those $8 a month members, we have a bonus episode with a very iconic guest from the Golden Girls universe, who everybody else will hear a little snippet of our interview with her a little bit later. Yeah. We also have another fun Rusty Anchor happy hour. It's anniversary themed. We're going to do some Golden Girls Mad Libs because we love those. Yeah. And finally, we have a really big announcement later. So stick around. Stick around.
Coming.
Massive. So much stuff.
Kerri, how do you feel at this 10-year mark?
Oh, I feel blessed.
Do you feel blessed?
I do. I feel blessed. I feel blessed to be a part of the Golden Girls community. Mm-hmm. I feel blessed that anytime anybody asks me, like, what do you like to do with your time or whatever, I get to say, I've been doing a Golden Girls podcast with my best friends for 10 years. Yeah. And we have a really awesome community and they make me feel really happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, that's it. I mean, we both do a lot of other things professionally in our lives. And we're both, and you all know this because you've been with us on this journey of our careers these last 10 years. But us, the podcast, the interaction with fans, the live shows that we do, the Golden Con, all of those things have never, ever felt like work. It always just feels like this wonderful, wonderful, silly little addiction that I have that's a beautiful distraction to the sometimes chaotic life that I lead. And I'm so grateful for it. And I'm so grateful that we've made it these 10 years. And I'm so grateful that We have our own little slice of the community in this world of the Golden Girls explosion that is everywhere, which we will talk a little bit about with our first guest in just a little bit, or second guest, I should say, in just a little bit. But I just love where we are, and I love that our friendship literally started because of the Golden Girls, but it obviously has grown into be a much more bigger thing than just that, which is amazing. And that is to me, what is so special about the Golden Girls, and what's so special about this podcast is I have so many friends from just the podcast who listen to the podcast, and they're great friends of mine now. So I'm just so grateful for everything. And we have two of our very best friends from the podcast on the podcast today.
Yeah, we've got so much in store. I'm so excited for you to hear from them. We had a really lovely conversation with one of our GGVIPs, and then our guest, who I'm still floored that we were able to interview this person.
But I feel like, so let's just start things off. I feel like we would be remiss to do a special episode of Out on the Lanai, one that commemorates the 10 years of us doing this, from horrible audio to great audio to video to Patreon to touring shows to all kinds of things that we've done in recent years. There's one person that has been there pretty much for most of the 10 years. I mean, from very early on, and I'm just so grateful that they've stayed with us, but also that they've allowed us to be on their network. Moguls of Media, Mom, which we're very grateful to be a part of. Obviously, I'm talking about Alaska Thunderfuck. I mean, what does Alaska mean to you, Kerri?
Oh, Alaska's been so fun and funny and supportive of the podcast for all these years. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm just so proud to be able to call her a friend and a friend of the podcast. Same. Nobody knows Golden Girls quotes like she does. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody does a Dorothy like she does.
I would argue she is the biggest fan. Like, of all of us, she is
out of
the
all
biggest.
of us, she is the biggest fan. She pulls quotes out that I'm like, how do you remember that one?
She's the Rain Man of Golden Girls.
That's a really good way to describe it.
She just is. And I mean, obviously, as you know, I mean, my drag did not start until towards the end of the original run of the podcast, when we were doing the original watch. And so I love that my friendship with Alaska is rooted in something that isn't drag, which I think is actually kind of rare for her, but it's obviously grown into being so much bigger than that. And of course she works with Michael. And so there's definitely this sort of like just like with you and I, Golden Girls brought us together, but now there's sort of like a family thing that happens because of it. You know what I mean? And that to me is a really beautiful thing and a testament to how amazing the Golden Girls is. So in honor of our love of Alaska, we had to have Alaska drop a little message. She's very busy in New York with her show, which you guys should be getting tickets to. You'll soon be able to see her show in New York, her musical, which is incredible. So
Drag the Musical, yes.
So definitely go see that if you're in New York. But here's a little message from Alaska Thunderfuck.
Thank you for being a friend. Whoa, whoa, yeah. We thank you so much. 10 years? Really? That's a feat, and that's amazing, and that's like a blessing, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this journey as well. It means a lot, and it speaks to the power of the Golden Girls, because it's a show about friendship and finding people at a time in your life where you might not think that you're gonna meet new people or make new friends, and that's what I've experienced with this podcast. I'm so grateful that we're friends now because of this. It means a lot to me, And that's all the power of the Golden Girls, and it's the power of the podcast, and it brings people together and it makes people happy, and to share in that is really lovely and wonderful, and I'm very grateful. And these are memories that I will wrap myself in when the world gets cold. You're angels, all of you. You'll always be my sisters. Oh my God. Thank you for letting me be a part of it, of Out on the Lanai. Thank you for everyone who's out there listening. And also, thank you for being a friend. We thank you so much.
Now, we love Alaska. And she makes everything better. She just makes everything better. Another person who makes everything better is the original GGVIP in my life, I have to say. And another reason why you and I know each other, one of the many reasons why you and I know each other, Eliot Glazer. Now, Eliot and I, so it's so funny now because oftentimes when we're out, Eliot loves to show his guns, right? He loves to show his arms. Like, he just loves to have his arms out.
He has B. Arthur on his arm. I would too.
That's what I'm getting to, and it pisses me off. So when we're out and about, people will be like, "Oh, I love your Golden Girls tattoo." And then sometimes when I'm next to him, he'll forget to be like, "Oh, he has one too." Because Eliot wants all the attention for the Golden Girls tattoo.
Eliot.
At which point I have to say, "Oh, I have the Golden Girls tattoo." And then I pull mine down, and it's the Mount Rushmore of Golden Girls tattoos. Thank you.
I have all 4 of them.
Thank you, Eliot Glazer. That said, I love Eliot Glazer so much. So we had to have him on this episode, just like with Alaska.
Course.
Like, you couldn't, I mean, I would have been great if we had them all together, but we're all very busy. We're very busy. So we'll take a little break, and we'll come right back with our chat with Eliot Glazer.
Yay.
So Kerri and I figured, what better way to sort of commemorate the 10-year anniversary? I mean, we're doing many things, but one of the ways we can commemorate the 10-year anniversary of this podcast is one of the 2 people that is the reason for this podcast, Eliot Glazer. Hello, Eliot.
Hi, friends. Good to be
here.
How
are you?
Again.
Isn't it weird? It's like when you say hi, friends, I'm like, it's so strange that you even call me friends, because like I don't even like you're not even a friend to me. You're like family. Like we text every single day. I mean, Kerri and I text every single day. Like it's almost beyond friends. We need to come up with a different word. We need to, like Dorothy says, you're my family.
Chosen family.
You're my sisters.
Sisters. You're
sisters. I think that's what it is. Yes. Sisters, all of you. We're family. No, when you say hi, friends, it reminds me of, that's what we say to at Little Oreos preschool, all the kids. Hi, friends.
That's
like it's
cute.
it is very like toddler. That's very much like toddler vernacular for me.
I love that.
Yeah, we're sisters. Yeah,
we're sisters.
Yeah. So like, I mean, so I think we've talked about this story so many times, but we have new listeners. So why not like do a refresher as well? So the whole connection, because did you know Eliot, Kerri, but when we all initially met, like when you and I met, did you know Eliot well?
Eliot and I knew each other. I feel like through maybe like the storytelling community in New York. We had been like on shows and stuff before, and we had definitely had mutual friends. I'm trying to think under like what other circumstances we would have like spent time together.
That was it, because there was a storytelling show that what did you run it at a bar in Park Slope?
Yes.
And it was called Maud?
I Like You, Maud.
I Like You, Maud. And I was like, oh my God, like connection because of Maud, obviously.
Right. Because in the poster, my friend who's a very, very talented animator, he has a show on like Max now. His name's Joe Bennett. But he did this really great illustration of B. Arthur as Maud and Ruth Gordon as Maud from Harold and Maude, riding together on a Vespa like sisters.
I know, it's seared into my memory.
And that was the poster for the show. It was called I Like You, Maud. Yeah, and it was a storytelling show. I do remember you doing it.
Yes, I think that's how we met.
Yeah, and it was a really fun time. And then I remember around 2014, so I had just moved to LA, and podcasting had sort of gone from like NPR, This American Life, to then was sort of branching out into more like pop culture stuff with like bad movie rewatches.
Yeah.
And the very first rewatch podcast that I'd heard of was April Richardson's Saved by the Bell rewatch podcast. And I was like, what a fun idea. And so I reached out to Eliot, knowing Eliot was a huge Golden Girls fan. And I was like, hey, nobody's done a rewatch of the Golden Girls podcast. Yeah. Would you like to do this with me? I'm fresh out in LA. And Eliot said,
let me reenact what Eliot does. Okay, this is Eliot back in 2014. Okay, ready? Here we go. Eliot's you're in LA at that point, right? You have moved to LA.
No, that's why I couldn't do it.
No, I'm gonna find the email.
So this is Eliot reacting because he's like, oh. I want to do it, but I'm not in LA. Literally, that's Eliot stressing out. He puts his hand on his forehead. If anyone's watching, you're seeing me in a very not appealing view, and he's stressing out. And he's like, "But Eliot struggles to say no, but I don't know how I'm gonna be able to make it work. I don't think you should talk to my friend H. Allen."
All right, I found the original email.
Oh wow!
Yep. Oh, it's so funny. I mentioned April's podcast. So this is from June 18th, 2014.
Wow.
Hey, Eliot. Thanks again for doing this show Sunday. It was really fun. After listening to April Richardson's amazing Saved by the Bell podcast, I feel like there's a world where you and I have a Golden Girls podcast. This is like alternate universe shit.
Yeah.
And each episode would consist of us watching a Gigi episode with a guest and talking about its brilliance and amazing fashion and why it's the greatest show on earth. Any chance you'll end up staying out in LA longer than a few months? Question mark. And then Eliot wrote back to me.
Ooh, what did he say?
I'm going to try to do Eliot's voice. I think I'm spread a little too thin.
Meanwhile, if Brent Sullivan was on this podcast right now, he would be like, meanwhile, Eliot's legs are spread too wide.
Something hypersexual.
But no, it's so friendly. I think I'm spread a little too thin. Although I love the idea, you should ask H. Allen Scott. You know him?
No, I don't.
And I said, I don't believe I know him, but maybe I'll invite him to perform on the show sometime soon. So you must have done, I had a show called Geeking Out on the West Side here in Los Angeles with Sam Levine that we used to do. So you must have just done that show.
That's correct.
Now I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, I would have absolutely done it if I lived here and didn't feel like I had to. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this was like obviously pre-Zoom and I was spread too thin because I was still in New York, so it didn't it wouldn't have worked. But God, I
appreciated your honesty so much that you didn't try to overcommit to something. I so appreciate that.
So then there was the bounce off between, so Eliot said no, and then Gabe, our all mutual friend Gabe, first guest on this podcast, brought you to my birthday party that July of 2014.
Yes. So Gabe, I met, I think Gabe was a writer for, it wasn't for BuzzFeed at the time. It was somebody else. And Gabe had interviewed me for this web series I did called Geeking Out. And so, and I lived in New York at the time. And then when I moved out to LA, we met up, we became friends. We used to hang out all the time when I first moved here. Yeah. And one day he was like, hey, I'm going to this birthday party. Do you know H. Allen Scott? And I was like, I don't, but I'm supposed to. I would love to go. Yeah. And it was at a beer garden.
It was at the beer garden in Silver Lake. I do love that beer. Their pretzels are delicious. Highly recommend.
I feel like I had a pretzel and it was great. And then I just remember Gabe and I walked up to you and he was like, happy birthday. Here's your present. And like pushed me into you and said, you two are both the hugest Golden Girls fans. You need to talk. Go. Yeah. And that was like it. And then
so wild. And it's so wild to think, and that's how it all started. And then on the first, I mean, literally Gabe was the first guest. Our first episode was September 28th, 2014. And then Brent Sullivan was the second guest. And we learned very quickly with Brent Sullivan that we should not really have guests on very often that don't know the Golden Girls.
Right.
That was what we learned from Brent, although he was lovely to have on the podcast. And our third guest was Eliot Glazer. So
yes,
and
so not a moment too soon.
Your anniversary, Eliot, is October 14th, 2014. That's your 10-year anniversary for being on the podcast.
And then was that? Then we when did the Alaska
didn't come
happen?
for a couple of years later. So Alaska,
okay.
And I mean, Alaska's going to do a video for this, but how Alaska got on the podcast in general was that Alaska had been messaging me. I had no idea who Alaska was because I did not watch Drag Race at that point.
At the time.
And Alaska then, I forget, I agreed to have her on the podcast. And so she came over, we did the podcast, great, nothing, I didn't think anything of it. I mean, it was a great chat. I loved her. We got along really well. And then she told me to make sure that the episode releases a particular week, and it was the week that she won All Stars. So that was like our highest downloaded episode until like Lizzo, and like then of course it like whatever, it just
Lizzo, that's insane.
I know. And then and now we're on Mom. God. So it's like it's all full circle. Everything is full circle, which is kind of just like a beautiful. But I do want to say, for me, 2004, that month, that sort of year, 2014 was like a really pivotal year, and sort of that the three of us coming together and and then Kerri and I starting this thing was really big, because it was the year that I had just started rebounding from chemo. I had just started figuring out sort of life again. I had just started sort of doing my own thing again. I had moved into my own apartment here in LA, which I had not had previously. So it was like I adopted Frasier very shortly before we started the podcast, and Frasier. And it was just like a whole like very big moment for me. So this 10-year mark is sort of very, very sentimental, looking back on 10 years ago where I was and where I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. I mean, I can't believe it's been 10 years.
I know,
and I can't believe also like that the fandom, it's like you kind of beat the fandom to the punch with the podcast.
Well, we really were because there really were no other recap podcasts other than the Saved by the Bell one, right?
That I was aware of at the time. I also just realized when you said 10 years, I was like, wow, our podcast has been on longer than the Golden Girls was.
Yeah.
Which I think just goes to show the interest, right? In that we started off recapping the episodes, and since then, we're doing a deep dive into the women's careers. We've sort of become like this like archive of these 4 women, and we do like fun compilations of like B. Arthur's like wildest talk show moments. We're just like really taking this deep dive, and our audience has been along for the whole ride, which is awesome.
What I love about just the three of us, even in the live shows that we do, and just sort of everything that we do, that like there is this element of, sure, we're all professionals and we work in the industry and we're doing the things, and like we're creatives. But that said, along with everybody listening, we're all just fans. We're hardcore fans. We might be the people talking, we might be the people on stage, we might be the people ushering the conversation along, but at the end of the day, you listening right now, us or watching, and us talking, we're all doing the exact same thing. We're just fanning out non-stop.
There really is nothing, like, honestly, there is nothing else that has come as close to the Golden Girls as like a marker of my taste, and I don't know if I would even say personality, although yes, part of my personality too, but I don't hold anything else as dear as I do the Golden Girls. There's other stuff that I've done or worked on, like in conjunction with or in like, in proximity to other people whose work I admire, but the Golden Girls in particular is like, forget about not having worked on it, or obviously, but it's just the thing that it is just the most cozy, warm thing that I just hold close, and also the thing that has actually inspired me the most to do what I do. Like I went to NYU and I, fucked around in like I did their school called Gallatin, which lets you like cherry pick from across the school in terms of building your concentration. So some people see it as like a total waste of time. Other people see it as like the brainiac weirdo way of doing college. For me, my parents said that I majored in the Golden Girls because I did like three different classes. My term papers ended up somehow being about the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
But ultimately, all of that to say that nothing I could have learned in school, genuinely, I don't think anything I learned in school or from a book has really helped prepare me to be in a TV writer's room, a comedy writing room, quite like the Golden Girls. It is math. It has provided me comedy math that I use in the writer's room every day.
And if you think about the messaging of the themes of Golden Girls too, just outside of the professional connection to it, like there is this element, and I think the three of us and I'm sure many other people listening too, and people that, you know, we've met through the podcast and stuff, the whole point of Golden Girls is sort of chosen family and bringing people together and sort of being there for each other through like-mindedness. And then creating this sort of unit that you have in your life that goes along with you as you grow, and the you know, the trivial things that come up and all the things that happen, and the good and the bad things too. And I think that's what's so amazing about both the podcast, but also about the Golden Girls, is that like through the Golden Girls and thus this podcast, we, the three of us, and also just lots of other people, you kind of create this little mini family of like I said before, where you're just there for everything. It's just, and it's all because of this one thing that ties us together, which I love that the message of the Golden Girls is the very thing that so many people listening and the three of us are actively doing in life, like are actively practicing. And it's because of the Golden Girls, which I find really special.
Yeah. It's like, obviously the show was entertaining for many reasons, but it touches people in a way that has lasted. It's only gotten bigger. I mean, that is not only a crazy and such a unique and unexpected, or you know, something you don't see quite often, but to see it with a show that is about 4 older women, like in a house in Florida, makes even less sense, I would say, than
if you were to say like what show has stood the test of time, if you were to sort of lay things out, everybody's like, Queen's Gambit. You're like, no, it's actually just a show about 4 older women who live together as roommates in Florida. It's funny, Eliot, that you say that it has only grown bigger, because I started thinking about just, you know, with this podcast turning 10 years old, the prominence of the Golden Girls, like how big it actually has been in this last decade, right? If you look at all of the drag shows that have been popping up, Golden Girls Live, Golden Girls Laughs Continue, Stay Golden, Golden Gals Live. There are so many. Golden Con has come about in the last couple of years. It pop culture references, like I think in Deadpool, his katanas were named Bea and Arthur, like
and
the Golden Palace.
Ryan Reynolds paid like a ridiculous sum of money to the, I guess, Bea Arthur's estate to be able to wear her image in that original Deadpool.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. I remember, I'm just remembering now, because you're bringing up the drag shows, I'm remembering now, as a freshman at NYU, I don't know if it was as early as when I was a freshman or at some point my like early years there, there was a Golden Girls like drag show that I'm having like flashes of it. I think I was.
It's all coming back to me now.
It might be.
Can't afford it. Don't start singing. We can't.
I
afford
don't know if you would, if it will ring any bells, but maybe it was before you guys were both in New York. But there was a show in the Village that was a Golden Girls reenactment show, and it was there was.
I remember the shows at Stonewall. They had something at Stonewall.
But that was, I think it was the show at Stonewall because it kept getting shut down. That's what was happening. The show kept getting shut down.
Well, back in the day, even Jackie during Golden Girls Live here. I remember when we first had the first year, we had Jackie and Sherry, and they were doing Golden Girls Live in Los Angeles here. I remember Jackie Beat, iconic drag queen, Jackie Beat, told me, make sure you add the Z. Make sure you say that we're
Golden Girls with a Z, so you know that it's
and make sure that you know, don't say anything about doing it in the script and all of the things, because they would go hard. I mean, they would definitely try to shut it down.
When was that? That started.
I guess we had her on probably 2015, 2016. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So the Golden Girls with a Z drag show here, it really started to percolate. But like it was really exciting when it came around.
Well, it had been in other cities. Like, for example, in San Francisco, they had been doing the Christmas Golden Girls show, and they had been doing that for years, long before Golden Girls Live here. And there had been other shows too around the country, and of course there were amateur sort of like Golden Girls drag things and sort of reviews and whatnot. But I don't know the original. I just know the Golden Girls San Francisco one is actually like a long time tradition in San Francisco.
I remember you saying that. I mean, obviously I've never seen that one, but
it's such a good show. Everyone, if you're in San Francisco during the holidays, go. And I think even Coco Peru's in this year's show. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not confirming that. I know she was last year, but like it is a fantastic show to see.
But to Kerri's point, it's like it seems to only have proliferated, like drag stage versions of Golden Girls is it's crazy.
And the Golden Palace being released on Hulu, that was, I mean, such a forgotten show.
That's the reason why
there were no
back.
DVDs. You know, maybe you could find an episode on YouTube, but the fact that the Golden Girls was so big once Hulu acquired it that they were like, oh, we have to have the Golden Palace on here. Like, it was huge.
And you know what it all speaks to, which I think is like the root of everything, and not to pat ourselves on the back, but there is this, I mean, Kerri, I think. So when we started the podcast, I remember from our first meeting, you know, after the birthday, because I feel like I probably was drunk at the birthday. But after the birthday, I remember telling Kerri, I don't want to be a fucking annoying comic and just talk about aimless things on a podcast. Like I hated that about podcasts. And I didn't want.
And here we are
years later. No, but I didn't want to I needed structure. I needed like a point to what we were talking about each episode. I hated those podcasts that were just people like comics just rambling about random shit. I hated that. And it was so male and so straight and everything I hated about stand-up at that time and to this day. And what I think is so interesting is, you know, we were early in the idea of like nostalgia and fanning out, and the internet and social media obviously was around at that point, but like
that
the obsession, the obsession over sort of the fan and also the fan service that these corporate brands then realized, wow, there's strength here, there's power here. That came around just in the last maybe 5-6 years. And so, you know, over the years, yes, there were early sort of like this is a weird niche thing of someone loving the Golden Girls or whatever, and then ABC, Disney, Buena Vista recognized, oh, wait, there's something here. We should release Golden Palace on Hulu. There's something here that we should have themed, you know, kitchens or brunch things. And we should have all these things because they want to make money. Yes, but they also recognize that the fans are asking for it. And I think us doing the podcast so early and sort of getting the fans together and saying, let's just talk about the Golden Girls, really, I think, and a lot of other shows that did the same thing, I think it really showed a lot of Hollywood. There's actually like power in these niche communities. There's power in these niche fandoms that you can make money off of us, but also we want a place to go to be excited about these things.
Yeah, I mean, but that's essentially why BuzzFeed thrived. I mean, not just the only reason, but like nostalgia. I don't know if it was nostalgia feeding the BuzzFeedy internet or the other way around, but I mean, it was like to your point, nostalgia just like swallowed the culture whole. And I think even for that reason, it was the reason that there were all these, you know, reboots and spin-offs, and they couldn't really get away with doing the Golden Girls the way they could with like a show that had the existing cast members on TV. But it doesn't matter. It's just the Golden Girls just continue to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you both this. So we've sort of talked about the last 10 years of the Golden Girls. What do you want to see or hope to see for Golden Girls fandom in the next decade? H. Allen Scott / Sadie Pines. I'm going to throw it to you first.
Well, I mean, we know that in the near future, there will be a Golden Girls inspired show from Match Muchnick called Mid-Century Modern, I believe.
Correct.
And I have been DMing with him about obsessively how much I am excited for that show, and begging him to come on this podcast. It's going to happen. He's agreeable, and so that I'm looking forward to, because it's just going to keep the conversation going in terms of why and it also speaks to a little bit. I mean, just recently with Hacks winning Best Comedy Series and oh God, Paul. What's Paul's last name? I'm blanking on Paul's last name. Thank you.
Paul Downs. Which Stan was on, by the way. I don't know if anybody saw him.
Yeah.
Stan was on
He was on Hacks. He was on the my husband. We call him Stan on the podcast.
I was like, Herb Edelman's dead, isn't he?
Yeah. No, they did they did a Pepper's Ghost allusion. No. Yeah, he was in the season premiere. It was really fun.
And also he was referenced in another episode towards the end.
Yeah, I hope they bring him back next season.
But I think the character died.
Oh.
Because he was dying. He was dying of cancer in the show.
Like I feel like that's the joke that was the joke of his character, is that he's going to be dead soon, and he took the guy on because he's dying. It's a long story, but so that's a whole other episode.
But what Paul said during the acceptance speech at the Emmys, I thought was really interesting in that, like, there should be more stuff out there about older people, about people thriving and at a different age, and people sort of going in that direction. And I hope that there's more of that as well.
Not to get too inside baseball, but like the tenor of the business right now is, and again, I mean, Kerri, you could probably, mirror this too, but it's that executives are hungry for shows that are about people in their 40s and 50s. Like there is sort of you can tell there, like with a show like Hacks too, it's like, there is a sort of disinterest, I think, in like youth, the way that it might have been for our generation, where people chased youth constantly in terms of, content and shows. And that was what we grew up with, kids, and chasing that, and like young, sexy. Yeah. Exactly. And now it does seem like, for whatever reason, there is a real respect for the stories of people who have lived a little bit.
Grace and Frankie, that did so well. Only Murders in the Building. I mean, Selena Gomez obviously youngs it down, but
But still, yeah,
she
you're
feels
right.
old to me though.
Who, Selena?
Yeah, she's an old soul.
I think she's an old soul. She's got
Selena Gomez,
an interesting voice,
rare beauty.
Oh,
I'm a fan.
All right, so wait, so what is it that you want to see in the next 10 years? Can you sum that up?
Me?
Yeah.
I want to see more shows with old people.
More shows with old people. Got it. Ellie.
I think that was very clear for everyone listening. Mid-century modern, hack speech, old world people. There, boom. You're the one who talked about your dead husband's character.
Live husband's dead character.
Yeah. The husband is alive. The character is dead.
I think for me, like in the next 10 years, I mean, I've sort of reached, I think after we did Golden Con, I was like, all right, I need to like step back from the fandom a little bit. It was just so personally exhausting, but I think I'd also like to see that continued proliferation of an interest in people who are middle-aged, if not older. I've always wanted that. I've always tried to make those shows and projects. It's just always been what I am, gravitate toward. But I also think, quite honestly, like the more stickers I can get made, I collect stickers, and I love that's really where I cleaned up at Golden Con, was just buying sticker after sticker after sticker, and I love.
So people should bring you stickers.
Interpretation. I just love the artistic interpretations of pre-existing content that applies to Drag Race too. But I love when people interpret the world of the Golden Girls in art form. So more stickers.
Specifically stickers. I love that.
Because you'll be on our next live show. You'll be at our next live show.
God,
so like,
bring me.
You know that. So people should bring you stickers.
Please. I love stickers. I collect them like a lunatic.
Elliot is going to regret saying that one day when he leaves the show with a trash bag full of stickers.
I always find stickers kind of annoying.
Well, do you put them on stuff?
No, because they're annoying.
I like to buy oh my God, I was going to say bespoke, but I like to buy unique. I love I love unique stickers and like craft fairs and stuff, people who make stuff. And so I like to decorate my things with them, but sparingly, in a way.
I'm going to get you stickers. I'm going to get you inappropriate stickers. Kerri, what do you look forward to?
I'm going to say what I hope to see, but very quickly, I just want to say on Stan's computer, he also sparingly only has 2 stickers.
Yes.
One is a little Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and it says "I dissent." And then the other sticker is Sadie Pines. Those are the 2 stickers on Stan's computer.
That sticker, because I send out for Christmas or for the holidays in general, I send out obviously holiday cards, but then with a Sadie sticker on it. And I have seen myself pop up in both appropriate and inappropriate places with that sticker.
No.
I'm on urinals. I'm honored. I'm honored, really.
Well, you're in our house. You're in your Christmas cards hang up. I just put them up and I never take them down. What I hope to see in the next decade is, one, I hope that we continue to see the Golden Girls fans bringing the Golden Girls to the next generation. So like, I'm excited for when little Oreo is big enough to watch the Golden Girls with me and hopefully love it and appreciate it as much as I do. And I know that we have listeners out there who have children, who have younger siblings, who they are introducing the younger generation to the Golden Girls, because I know that there will be people who just sort of like discover it, like, oh, I discovered it in college, whatever. But I want like the hardcore Golden Girls fandom to be passed down from generation to generation, you know, like I'm giving you, this is our heirloom family ring, but it's like, watch the Golden Girls. I want to see more archiving of the show. When we think about it, you know, obviously at this point, all of the women have passed away, but there are still things that we don't know about the Golden Girls. And to me, that's the most exciting thing when we have guests on, is when there's a story that's told. That, like, when, you know, Hillary Shepard came on and talked about her audition as Miss Yvonne and how she came up with all those moves, the whirly birds and everything. I want to see the scripts made more public so that people can read them, so that people can read the original pilot episode with all the Coco that was in there, with Rose's character being a little bit more different. So just really, I just want to see in the next decade, before people's memories have completely faded, before we lose all the people who were involved in the show, I want to see it all archived somewhere, because it is always fun to discover something new. And then lastly, I'd like to see a Disney ride.
Oh, interesting. I mean, where the house was for a brief time on
at the least MGM bring back the house, but I don't know. I don't like fast rides. I don't like to spin. I don't like speed.
No.
Would I go on like a lazy river boat of a Golden Girls ride? 100%. Can I eat on it? Great.
Yes, an Epcot style slow moving tram that takes us through the entire house.
I'm
Maybe
so
we get to see the Lanai.
I'm so excited for little Oreo to be old enough to go to Disneyland, so that we all can go with little Oreo to Disneyland and have her appreciate it in the way that Michael and I appreciate Disneyland.
As long as you two go on all the rides with her, because I will not.
Well, I will be the one, because both you, Eliot, and Michael, I'm just going to say it, you're pussies.
Yeah.
You're pussies.
That's
you're pussies
fine.
on the ride. And I know little Oreo's like, she's going to be like, let's go on Space Mountain. And I'll be like, you know what, girl? Tie your hair back. We're going.
Great. She'll have as good a time as Sophia did. I can't. I sit on a
too?
I don't know. I don't know, to be honest, because no, I guess he's not, because we did go to Disneyland once, only because my friend Ryan Clavin, who's been on the podcast, works there. He got us in for free. Yeah. And Stan wanted to go on Indiana Jones. My body was clenched the entire time with my eyes
like
closed.
That, Eliot? You've been on that one.
I like it because it's an experiential ride, not a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I didn't experience it because my eyes were closed. But
Wow.
It's not fast. Like, I actually I enjoy rides that are, even like the Star Wars ride was like not a fast roller coaster.
Yeah.
But it, there was like a drop, and it's
do you get whipped around? I don't like to get whipped around.
I don't mind getting whipped around. It's all about the speed that freaks me out.
I'm just excited to be on it. It will be myself, little Oreo, and Stan, and we'll force Stan to sit alone in a seat behind us, so that we can then instruct him to do what Sophia does on Space Mountain, going Yahoo! And he has to do the Yahoo, because we'll be having fun. He'll
be able to do it because he's tiny and Italian, like Mario.
Exactly. We can dress up like Sophia on the ride.
Great.
Oh
we
my
don't
God.
see Sophia on the ride.
I know, but we can make it happen. We'll do video of it. He'll be like hiding his face, and then he'll just have the gray wig on, and I have a wicker basket or wicker bag that I just bought that,
You just came alive.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. I'm planning this
8:43 p.m. This interview, this chat just started.
Eliot, thank you for coming on the podcast. Wait, what were we going to ask, Eliot?
Why is the assumption that the Golden Girls ride would be a roller coaster?
Well, it's
why can't it be a slow tram?
It can be slow. I'm just saying that, like, because of the episode, Sophia really wanted to go on Space Mountain, and I think that's why it would be fun to have Stan go on Space Mountain, or little Ori and I go on Space Mountain and have Stan dressed up as Sophia so that we can finally get footage of Sophia on Space Mountain.
Finally,
which we do need.
Which we need. Thank you. So tell Stan to prepare for that. I'll get the costume together. We'll do his makeup and it'll be great. Elliot, thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me, friends.
And people can see you. Obviously, you're touring with your live show over the next few months, but you'll also be on our live show, the holiday show coming up later this year.
That's right.
Yeah. So people can see you soon. Where can they follow you?
Just at Eliot Glazer, and there's a little link tree in the bio with tour dates.
And if just a little advice, and we're not going to get into this conversation, but if you see a really good picture of the moon, send it to Elliot.
Oh God, don't you dare, please.
He's terrified of the moon.
I'm terrified of the moon at certain sizes.
So we teased our big guest. You guys, I'm sure, have seen the title for the episode, so you know who the guest is, but we love teasing it. And I mean, what can we say about Cindy Fee, the original performer of the theme song, Thank You for Being a Friend, which obviously was a song by Andrew Gold, and then, of course, the show made it their theme song. And Cindy Fee did the singing for it, and the story she has to tell about what it means to her, about the recording, about everything since her life,
about her method for recording the song. I found that to be very interesting.
This chat with Cindy Fee is just next level Golden Girls perfection. Did it not just give you all the GG Iggy Biggies?
I loved it. I loved chatting with her. I mean, she was like wearing a Golden Girls shirt. She embraces the
She calls
fandom.
herself the fifth Golden Girl, which is perfect because she is the fifth Golden Girl. She's the only one out there singing and doing her shows and performing now, and it sort of makes you feel it's like a hug hearing her sing and do that song, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely beautiful. I had goosebumps talking to her. I mean, so much. The Golden Girls theme song, the opening, and I think I said this when we were chatting with her, it is like a warm wave, like a warm blanket that just comes over you. I feel so much. I don't feel that joy with any other theme song of any other television show. Like I do with the Golden Girls. That first, the piano, the da-da-da-da, I'm like, yep, I'm here. I am here, and we're having an experience, and I'm feeling very comforted and loved.
Yeah, I mean, yes, 1000%. Now, Cindy has so much going on. You'll be able, I mean, during our chat, and we'll post links to everything, Cindy, but like, you can see her live. She's going to do a show in San Francisco soon. She's going to be on the road soon. She's doing her one-woman show. She has so much going on, and us, as Golden Girls fans, it is our duty to buy tickets to whenever Cindy Fee is in your town, because that is what you have to do if you are a Golden Girls fan. You must stand up for the Golden Girls in your lives. And Cindy,
go see that fifth Golden Girl,
is certainly our fifth Golden Girl. So we're going to play a portion of our chat with Cindy on the podcast today, about 10-15 minutes.
Yes. And then if you want to get the full chat, it will be available on our Patreon at the $8 a month level. That's where the full chat will be, which I'm going to tease it. Not even tease it. I'm going to say it. She sang the Golden Girls theme song for us. So that's going to be on Patreon. And it was, it was beautiful. I said, I had goosebumps.
I can't. Also, though, like the thing is, and one of the reasons why I'm so glad we're releasing this chat with Cindy this month is because I know that so many of you will be joining us on our watch along this upcoming weekend. And so many of you have changed your sort of your level to the $8 level, which means so many of you are going to be able to see this chat with Cindy Fee, which makes me so happy. The full chat with Cindy Fee. We spoke for probably like 40 some minutes, but I mean, you're going to get a great dose here on the podcast today. So do not worry about that. But that said, I'm feeling like we have so many big things happening. We talked to Alaska, we talked to Elliot, Cindy Fee's on the podcast. And if everyone is going to Patreon to watch this full interview with Cindy Fee, I feel like you probably should also see the pinned post on our Patreon right now, which announces something very, very special, which is our next live show. Oh my
Live
God.
and in person.
Oh my God, you're going to be able to touch me. So it is Saturday, December 7th here in Los Angeles at Dynasty Typewriter. We intentionally made it an afternoon show where it's just so that people can come in, they can leave early, or they can get home at a decent hour that night. If
like people
kids,
with the babies.
or if you are coming in from out of town, you'll be able to, travel in maybe on a Friday or early on Saturday, come to the show, leave on either that night or on Sunday, whatever it is. We wanted to make it as accommodating as possible to all of our fans, because the last time we had a sold out show, we had amazing people come out. It was just such an amazing feeling in the room. And when Kerri and I were planning this live show, I was like, okay, I love the holidays. I love a holiday moment. Now,
Love it.
Nothing competes with the San Francisco holiday show that happens with the drag troupe that does the Golden Girls episodes for Christmas. You have to, if you're in San Francisco, you have to go to that. But there's one day you need to come to Los Angeles for a holiday show, and that's for our show, December 7th. It's going to be so much fun. Expect crazy holiday outfits from me. Expect amazing guests, all these things. Tickets aren't on sale yet, but you can sign up over on our Patreon. There's a Google form where you will be the first to know when tickets become available for you to purchase. So we'll make sure that you get that information. Just go sign up for that Google form. It is pinned at the very top of our Patreon. You don't have to be a Patreon member to be able to see this post. You can go click on it and boom. You can also just go to outonlanai.com. That'll take you to our Patreon as well. So excited for this live show.
Oh my gosh, me too. I have idea. I have a pitch for you.
Ooh.
I'm so excited. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
Maybe a little bit of a musical number.
Oh, I do love a musical number. Everyone knows I love to sing, even though I can't.
That's the best kind of singer.
That's what I think. I think so too. So let's just get to our chat with Cindy, right? Why am I stalling? Why am I making people want to hear from me? You want to hear from Cindy. So, Kerri and I could not think of anybody better to have on a 10-year anniversary episode of this podcast than the one who basically the fifth Golden Girl, the one who gave us the voice that we have in our heads every single day, the iconic voice that gave us that song, Cindy Fee. Hello, Cindy.
Hi, how are y'all?
Oh my God, so amazing
Beyond
now that you're here.
Honored.
First off,
thank you.
We have to say, for anyone listening, you really should be watching this episode because Cindy is wearing a Golden Girls. Is it a dress or a shirt?
I actually have one of each. This is the shirt, since
Okay.
since you don't see from below down, and you guys can just guess what I'm wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of the place.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's beautiful. Golden Girl, anything Golden Girls attire, obviously everyone listening to this podcast is a fan of.
Well, of course, because how can you not be a fan of the Golden Girls?
Yeah, well, first off, let's just get started because we have so many questions for you. And I think the first thing that comes to mind is, how does it feel to be such an iconic part, the fifth Golden Girl, to be such a part of that amazing legacy?
Well, the thing that's been truly wonderful for all these years, because as you know, the 40th anniversary is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so young when I did it at the time, I had no idea what it really meant.
Yeah.
But over the years, it's been pretty incredible because everyone knows that show. There's literally no age, no person that hasn't heard it. And young people like it, older people like it. It's just... The very first Golden Con, I asked someone, they were all young, and I said, how you guys are so young? How did you watch the show? And they said, well, I watched it with my grandmother. I watched it with my mother. So it's a show that continues to give such incredible emotional connection. And that's part of why I think it is so long-lived, because of that.
Yeah.
We couldn't agree more, and we're so excited for future generations to discover it as well. And we're dying to know, how did the job come about for you? Can you tell us about it?
Well, at that particular time, the way that they did the way that they did TV shows back then, because all they had was network TV.
Yeah.
And the way they would do that is the summer would get really busy. Everyone was doing pilots. And so at the time I was very, very busy as a session. I still do my own records and always have, but I was a big session singer in Los Angeles at the time. And it was probably the third or fourth TV theme that I sang that year. So I just got a phone call to go in and sing this theme. They didn't really tell me much about it, except it was a show about older women that were moving in together, that were living together. And I knew, of course, they told me the cast members, and I knew the cast members, of course, because they were all people that had certainly been on TV a lot. And they played the song for me, the Andrew Gold song for me, a couple of times, and then I went out there and just sang it. And it was a very quick session. I didn't really know much more about the show, and of course I had no idea at that time whether it was going to go or not, because the way it would work back then was that they would run the pilot. If there was enough interest, then they would order the episodes.
Yeah.
And so
and then you'd see it on TV.
Yes, and then it would come out on TV, and I had no idea what it would become. I don't know if anyone did, because I'm not sure there's a more iconic show on TV.
Or an iconic theme song. I mean, let's be real. Like, the television show, yes, is iconic, and we all love it and are fans, and there would be no theme song without the show. But if we narrow it down to theme songs, I mean, that song and your version of it, God bless the memory of Andrew Gold, but like your version of it is up there with Cheers, is up there with Friends, is up there with the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Maude. I mean, there's a reason why it's still so iconic. Part of the reason why the show's still iconic is because of your version of the song, which I think is a testament to sort of you and your voice, that wonderful voice,
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I would say so. It just was, sometimes things just happen like that. The right place, the right time. And I don't think even at first I had an idea of how long. I mean, no one knew what it was going to do.
Yeah.
Because it went on to do such iconic things, One of the first shows to talk about homelessness. They had gay characters in the show. The show kind of dealt with all of these things. And, I walk in and I sing a session that probably takes me 45 minutes. I have no idea what it's going to become. But, certainly over the years, it has proven itself. I mean, like I said, everyone knows it. My family and my friends, if they get lonely for me, they just can turn on the TV.
Yeah.
And now they can turn it on because it's on Lifetime all 24 hours a day. Yeah. Or since the pandemic, they can stream it as well. So it really has been a wonderful thing to be a part of,
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, because people may not know all the commercials I've done, which there are a lot of those as well, but they all know that show. That's for sure.
Yeah. And that's such an honor. Like, that's such a treat for you and your career to have that as sort of not even just a resume pinpoint, but also just like as a legacy. It's just so great. I want to know, do you remember anything about the recording? I feel like I remember speaking with Marsha Posner Williams once about being at the recording or something, but can you tell us anything about the actual recording of the song?
All I really remember, except from what Marsha and Stan Zimmerman have told me, because they were both at the recording, I remember going in. I had never worked for this producer before, because as a singer, it's a little bit different than what an actress goes through. As a singer, you don't come in and do an audition. You just get called directly by the music person that is doing it. They've decided that your voice is perfect for this particular song. And if I had worked for the gentleman that recorded it, I don't remember I can't even remember his name now. Marsha told me what it was, but it's kind of gone out of my head, because literally I think it's the only time I ever worked for him. I remember that it was very fast. I remember that, but that's kind of how I am, because the way I look at a piece of music or I listen to a song, and then I just try to just let it come out of me.
Yeah.
That's how I sing. I don't think too much about it. I just let it flow from me. I let the music flow through me. So it was very quick. I remember that. I think that Marsha told me afterwards that I sang it 2 or 3 times, and then and I said, "Well, what do you think?" And they go, "Well, it was great, but let's do a couple more times." So I sang it a couple more times, and that was it. So it literally took me about 40 minutes at the most.
40 minutes to become an icon. That's how you do it. That's how
so
you do.
wild.
That's how a boss lady does it.
I also quickly just want to say, like, we do live watch alongs over Zoom with some of our fans, and every time the theme song comes on, other shows, people will just skip the theme song. It is so celebrated amongst Golden Girls fans. I could never imagine hitting that skip button on Hulu, which is a new thing they have now for theme songs. Couldn't even imagine hitting it. There is something so beautiful and warm and comforting about your voice and the way that you portray the song that it just makes every Golden Girls fan celebrate it when it's part of the every episode for us. So
yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mention that, because generally speaking, when people find out that I've sung it, they will ask, they'll say, "Oh, sing the song for me." But one of the coolest things that ever happened was about, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, right before the pandemic. I was in Philly with some family of my husband's, and we had gone to this Italian seafood restaurant, and there was a group of girls sitting at the next table, probably in their 40s. They get together once a month. Yeah. And my husband's cousin leaned over there, Drissy, who can talk to anyone, leaned over there and said, that this is the girl that sang the theme from the Golden Girls. So, they're like, get out of town, I can't, Yeah. And I thought, oh, they're going to ask me to sing. But instead, what they did was so wonderful. They all stood up. I think there were 12 of them, and they turned and they sang the song to me.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
It brought me to tears because it was so amazing. They sang it as best they could. Every lick I sang, exactly like I sang it, and they knew every bit of it. And that was truly something. I mean, it has been something that, is amazing because everyone knows it. It's a part of everyday life.
And it is so apart. I mean, it is, even if you don't, for people who don't even know the Golden Girls, they know that song. I mean, they know, and they know your version of it, because it is very different. I mean, it's not very different, but because the words are the same, but it's tonally very different from the Andrew Gold one, which I think speaks to the impact of it, the way you deliver that song. And what I guess I want to know is, how often, A, do people ask you to sing the song? And B, like, how did you decide to do it in the way that you did it? You know what I mean? Like, how do you find that pitch?
Well, for me, like I said earlier, I believe that the best singing just kind of comes and moves through you, that it's not something you think about, because you're giving an emotion. Singing is a story set to music, basically. And whatever you're saying, you go to the emotion of it. You think of the words that you're saying. And I didn't decide how to sing it like that. I just sort of did what I do, which is sort of get out of my own way. And that is part of why, as a jingle singer and, commercials and the various things I've done throughout my career, I was very successful. I think because I did that, because I didn't approach it like, okay, this is how I'm going to sing it. Let's think about this. And I've had other singers would go, how did you come up with that lick? A particular lick on something. And I'd go, well, I don't think about it beforehand. Yeah. I've always done this. I sang before I talked. I just let it flow out of me. And see where the muse is going to take me, so to speak. So.
Yeah. And do people ask you to sing the song all the time? Like, have you ever had at Starbucks, has anyone ever assaulted you to sing it?
No, but not at Starbucks. And that's partially because I'm not one of those people that walks around and tells people all the time. I'm not really my own best publicity person. Other people are. My husband will tell people. My kids will tell people.
No.
But one time, and most of the time, people are respectful enough that they don't go, here I am, a perfect stranger, sing it for me. But friends will say, oh, my daughter-in-law loves that show, and would you sing it for her? And so I will. One time, though, I was at a blueberry patch picking blueberries, and somebody that was there found out from someone that I had sang the song, and they followed me around trying to get me to sing it. And it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, I'm in a blueberry patch picking blueberries, I mean, maybe if they'd been a little more respectful, but they were kind of like, I deserve for you to sing me that song. And I kind of balked at that one. But that happens. amazing times that I've done it. During the pandemic, I got I got a message on social media from a friend saying that one of her friends was her girlfriend was and soon to be her wife was having a birthday, a big birthday, and it was early in the pandemic, probably May, right, or long before, when we were all completely, no one was paying any attention to anyone. You were all in your own little bubble. We all did our little Zooms, but that was it. And so she asked me if I would come do a Zoom for her. She said that her girlfriend was an emergency room doc, and I thought, well, of course I will, because I mean, these are the people that are, that are saving lives, that are out there, exposing themselves daily. And so I came, I didn't talk to them. I didn't even see photos of them. So at the appointed time, I came on to this big Zoom, birthday Zoom. There were probably 60 people. Everyone had their little square, and it became apparent very quickly that I was the only white face on there. And so after a while, people, I think, were starting to go, "Who's that girl down in the corner? No one knows her. Who is that?" And when that started to happen, the person that had set it all up said, "Well, I want to introduce a special person that's come on here today." And I introduced myself and thanked her for her service and sang the song for her. And by the time I was done, 3/4 of the people were stunned and crying, and because that song and that show makes people, I believe part of the reason it's so long lived is because, it gives you a feeling of connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In particular, our friends are the family we choose, the family we get to choose. And when I hung up, I didn't stay on much longer. I thought, that I would have done that. I would have paid money to do that, because that's so incredible to see the response. And that was probably the best 3 minutes of my life in terms of feeling like I was giving back to people.
And it speaks to, I think, and we talk about this on the podcast a lot, it speaks to the themes of the show, in that, and you brought it up yourself in your response, that sort of bringing people together in a chosen way. Sometimes the people who are closest to us are not blood. They're I'm, as a queer person, I've had to have a chosen family, or sometimes, or, you have to compile, and you being in that group with a queer person and someone in that group who also is not white, and it's such a diverse bringing together through this one thing, through this shared love that we have of that song, your version of the song, and the show. And that really is a testament, I think, to the legacy of the show, that it breaks down barriers. It brings people together, and it says, let's just love the Golden Girls. Let's just be love. Let's just be family here, And I think that's a special thing, that I see why you love it so much.
Yeah, I would say that's totally true. I mean, the fact is there never was another show really, truly like that. Mm-hmm. And they would never do a show about women in their early 60s. No. Get out of town. Nothing like that would happen today.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the girls, I'm sure all of our audience is dying to know if you've ever met any of the 4 women.
I met Betty White once because I had a friend that was on the show Evergreen. And so I when she was doing, I went in and I met her, and it was very quick. And that's the only one I ever met. I never went to any of the tapings. I really, it was kind of at first one of those things that I did, and then I didn't pay that much attention to it until, a number of years later. I would watch it when it came on if I was home, but the time that it came home, I was young when I did it. I was 23 or so. So, I wasn't generally speaking home. What was it, on Saturday night, was it?
Yeah, you were out living.
I was out living, and nobody had DVRs back then. But a few years after that, when they started having it on, it was actually a number of years after that, I was at the gym and someone had it on a TV screen. I thought, I'm going to watch it because I'm curious, and I watched it, and it was an episode where I can't remember the number of the episode, but it's an episode where Rue McClanahan, no, it wasn't Rue, it was let's see, Dorothy found out that the man that she was dating was married.
Yes, okay. Glenn.
Yes.
Oh yes, we know it very well.
Yes, that particular episode. And the way that it was handled, I listened, I watched the whole thing as I'm working out, and I thought, now I know why this show is so popular, because that particular episode and all of the episodes had something like that. Every woman, and indeed, probably almost every gay person, is not men as much, but every, whatever age you are, you have had that happen to you.
Yep.
You have found out someone that asked you out was married or engaged, and something they didn't share with you when they asked you out. And so I thought these themes are so universal. It's no wonder that everybody still likes them, because there's something that all women go through, all people go through, regardless of their ages.
And we're back with our golden takeaway, which is a nugget of truth. Or again, I did this at the beginning of the episode, and I'm just feeling like maybe we should revisit how I set up that golden takeaway on that very first episode. What do you think, Kerri?
Yeah, let's take a listen to that.
Okay, I'll play it.
So golden takeaways. Basically, a golden takeaway is sort of like the lesson or the thing that you took away from this episode.
So much has changed since that
I like a nugget or truth of inspiration.
Yeah, I really turned it into a bit, didn't I? Of course, naturally, I had to turn it into something obnoxious and annoying. And I did.
I love it.
Yeah, that was fun. Those golden takeaways. I love that. But I mean, they've since evolved. So yes, a golden takeaway is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or the lives of our listeners. Kerri, what is your golden takeaway from this episode?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm feeling very nostalgic right now. I think I'm obviously so thankful to the Golden Girls community. I'm thankful for our friendship. And yeah, to quote Dorothy Zbornak, "You're my sisters, all of you." And I hope that we have 10 more years of Golden Girls greatness with this wonderful community. I'm so thankful to be a part of.
Oh, I definitely echo that golden takeaway. Although I have to make my golden takeaway has to be something bigger than that, because even though there's not much bigger that you can get from that. But one thing I want to say with this golden takeaway is I'm so glad that so much has changed in the podcast in terms of how we do it, how professional we are, the script that we use, how organized we are. That's all because of you. But I do like that one thing that has never changed is how chaotic Kerri Doherty's social media is. Let me just play that clip.
Delicious. And I'm H. Allen Scott. You can follow me at HALANSCOTT on Twitter.
And I am Kerri Doherty. You can follow me at Squidzy.
You want to spell that?
No, that's not even my Twitter handle.
No, that's your Instagram.
No.
Squidsy's your Instagram.
You can follow her on Instagram.
Jesus, yes, that's where you can follow me. It's at Squid Eat Squid, which is like dog eat dog, but with squid. I'll get into the story someday.
To this day, that the most chaotic social media of anyone I've ever met in my life
And
is
I won't
Kerri
change
Doherty.
it. I won't change it.
She will not change it. She will not change it. Now, the other part of my golden takeaway that I have to put out there is, like you said, I'm so grateful to this community, everything I've been saying all throughout this episode. But I feel like one of the things that I want to go back to our very first guest, Gabe Dunn, who brought us together, and give a little bit of their golden takeaway from that episode, because I feel like it really holds up to this day.
My golden takeaway is you two are soulmates.
That's something we didn't already know.
I can't tell if I'm happy or sad at myself for this.
Definitely Gabe started something that has grown in the biggest and craziest of ways. And we are grateful for Gabe. We are grateful for Alaska. We are grateful for Eliot. We are grateful for all of you for being along for this crazy, crazy, crazy ride of these past 10 years. We have no plans on stopping. We want to see you at live shows. We want to meet you. We know you have lots of options for other podcasts now. We were the first. But we know that you have Many
That's
options.
going to be on my headstone when I die. It's going to say, we
were
were the first.
No, we know that you have many options out there for your listening pleasures. And we're just so grateful for each and every one of you who have stuck out with us, have maybe found us recently, wherever you are at in your Golden Girls journey. Welcome to the party, because we're not stopping anytime soon.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Well, with that, should we do our 10-year anniversary sign off?
Oh my God. Well, we should tell them. I mean, listen, guys, if you do want to follow us on social media.
Oh, yeah, we have to do that part first. We've been doing this for 10 years.
We're not going to stop doing what we always do. You can obviously follow us on Mom, Moguls of Media. We love them, but you can also follow us at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on the Facebookles, and I am H. Allen Scott / Sadie Pines on everything.
Do you want to spell that like you did in the first episode? That's
Can you believe I spelled it? You know why I did?
H-A-L-A-N-S-C-O-T-T.
Because so many people, I feel like now it happens. Like you can still find me if you spell Allen incorrectly, but people often did A-L-L-E-N. And no, that's the last name spelling of Allen. I don't get that. The people who have that as a first name. First name is always A-L-A-N.
Well, I am still Squidsy on Instagram and Squid Eat Squid on Twitter. It's like dog eat dog. Maybe I'll tell that story someday.
Don't keep cited. Oh God. And we'll see you this weekend at the live watch along. We hope lots of you come. It's going to be lots of fun, and go sign up if you plan on coming to the live show. You can just go to outonlanai.com for
that. Or patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast.
Both will get you to the same place. And remember,
as always,
Stay golden!
Stay golden! Ah!
Can you believe we did not do Stay Golden on the first episode?
I can't believe it.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
Insane. What were we thinking?
We were amateurs.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.